old maids because nobody wants them. But the bottom line is that the real good-looking ones, we take them to Hollywood that we own, and we make them big.
I see. Well, Rabbi Finkelstein, you know, I was talking to you about the U's and the K's that's on the food boxes and the food sources. And the thing that I want is that this is a private Jewish tax that people unsuspectedly are paying, aren't they?
Well, some know, some don't, but they better pay because when he lost that battle, only temporarily, though, in the heavens, because we're on a comeback. We're the comeback kids if there ever was one. But all the schwatzes, what can you say? You know, they got a good time step. They dance good. A couple of them can sing. They make some nice barbecue, and they're real good for selling drugs too. Because they all love the drugs, and we make a lot of money off of selling the drugs. You do know that we control all the drug world, and have since Rothschild got the opium wars in China going. We've been controlling the drugs ever since that. We let a few in here and there to make some money, and they get arrested and they go off to jail for that. But we make the big money. We're the wholesalers. We're the wholesalers of everything in the world.
You know, it's very interesting you should bring that up because, you know, prior to Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his Eleanor, his first cousin, who is also a Jewess, actually, yes, they were both Jews. And it's very interesting. Until they got in office, the Jews had control of the money, but they didn't have control or a good foothold in Washington, D.C., did they?
No, we had control since the Civil War. Rothschild, he backed both sides of the Civil War, and when the smoke cleared, he was getting shekels from both of them, lots of interest. They're never going to be able to pay back the war debt. We really controlled it then. Basically, what we've been doing is consolidating. I'll tell you something about that Eleanor girl. She got a face that would stop a clock.
A train.
The bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets, and the people, they eat it for breakfast, they eat it, their children for lunch, and you know, as Jews, you know, we gotta do what we do. The most important thing to remember between you, Pastor Wickstrom, and me, Rabbi Avi Finkelstein of New York, that we both have two fathers, and so that's why we look at the world in two different ways.
And we know that there's a massive collision that's going to take place between two forces, don't we?
Well, that's what your book says. Our book says that we're going to take over the world.
Well, I look at you...
You're doing a pretty good job right now.
Yes, you've done a pretty good job, but you know there's quite an awakening coming, and my father, who's not your father, my father Yahweh, who isn't your father, of course your father is talked about by my father in John 8:44, stating that your father was Satan and that you're the descendant of Cain, who was the first murderer. And you know that's true because you teach it in your synagogue.
Well, that's true, but it's not for you Goyim to know. But right now it's too late. It's over for you white race. So that's why I'm speaking so honestly here, to bring it out into the open so that you can see it for what it is. You've been teaching the people real good, but they don't wake up, do they? You don't get a lot of followers, do they? Because you know why? They're scared of us Jews, because they don't want to be called anti-Semites, and they believe that we're the chosen people, and so that's why we can do whatever we want to do, and we can get away with it because the white men are cowards, and we go to the synagogue all the time and have some Manischewitz and dance the Hava Nagila.
You know, it's interesting. I've told people...
Arnold Schwarzenegger's father was a high-ranking Nazi SS officer under Hitler. Connect the dots. They are all interconnected. Hitler, Bush, Biden, the CIA...
came over with Project Paperclip. That was when we had the importation of the Nazi and fascist scientists into the U.S. in the wake of World War II. We didn't win the war, we just transferred it over here, and the CIA was actively involved in taking the information from the Hitler-Himmler research that found the effects of trauma on the human mind when you sexually abuse a child.
White Hat Intel. Klaus was born in Nazi Germany, not surprised, in 1938. At the time, his father ran the strategic company, Eicherweiss, and ran his own concentration camp, where prisoners had to work for free. The income from this company gave Klaus Schwab a comfortable existence. The Maxwell family was Israel's back door into Silicon Valley. The Maxwells linked to the Israeli Mossad, FBI, CIA, and the elite via honey trapping, human child trafficking, and treason. By moving in the same circles as her father and vowing to work only on things involving Israel, Isabel Maxwell became a pivotal liaison for the entry of Israeli intelligence-linked tech firms into Silicon Valley with the help of Microsoft's two co-founders, Paul Allen and Bill Gates. Myanmar, the largest drug and child trafficking country in the world, in the Golden Triangle, was being shut down. And the ruby red rings the elites wear were part of the Terramar project. Maxwell's put them through a whole heap of processes, and they end up in the ruby red rings elites wear. Same goes for the Red Shoe Club. The shoes are made from the skin and blood of children.
And for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
People say that maybe I'm not an American citizen. And some people said, he has a forged birth certificate. Well, first of all, it's true, I'm not American. I was not born in Hawaii. I wasn't born in the United States of America. I come from Kenya. And so I think people saw my election as proof, as testimony that our society has continued to become more and more naive. Religions that have come together around a set of shared ideals. And we are still a place where anybody has a chance to make it through misleading and dishonest practices, if they try. If that wasn't true, then somebody named Barack Hussein Obama from Kenya, from Africa, would not be elected president of the United States.
The New World Order agenda. Destroy the family unit through sexual misconduct, bestiality, legalized pedophilia, and control over the narrative in the education system from preschool through university. Take over farming to destroy and have control over food sources so they can ration food and resources and therefore have control over the population. That's probably why Bill Gates bought up all the farmland. Digitalized world currency to have control over personal bank accounts. Form a one world government and one world New Age religion to control the narrative to the people.
Now, in the past, many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough. And nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals.
How can we get a global agreement on AI when you have a new Cold War, a new hot war?
In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to.